So those customization we can do by this configuration, and let me show you here. Okay, so here we have this save draft URL. Okay, so what this means is, let's suppose we saved that entire thing, right? Okay, so we haven't saved this, but if I click on save and exit, this form is something saved. So where it is saved, where the data is saved, we'll see that in upcoming sessions, but this data is now saved right somewhere as we click on save and exit. So if we want to do a certain action based on save and exit, right, we are just having a saving a draft, right, we haven't submitted that. So in that case, if we want user to navigate to a certain URL, then we can mention it here. So let me put it here as www.google.com. Let's see how it works. Yeah, if I click on save and exit, yeah, you see. Okay, so this is something appended, and then this google.com is added. So this is something, so within our application only we can navigate, right, with this feature. So let's suppose we are having a different page. So in that case, we would be writing that particular endpoint of that page, and we would be, so the base URL would remain same anyways in our application, and whatever the other endpoint where we want to navigate, that would come handy. So writing here a google.com was not a good use case, but you can understand, right? This is a base URL of any web application, and this is the page endpoint or maybe other route of this application, so that you can mention over here. And the same goes for submit URL as well. So here if you see, let me go back to the screen. So here you can see, here it was next page, and then you're having submit button. So if you want to have a certain action like opening a URL, so that thing you can mention here in the submit URL text box. And this is pretty explanatory with this tooltip, which is giving us that exact usage of this. And let me tell you something, and this submit button is also something very straightforward. You can just change the label, you don't need to explain that. And something very fancy is like vertical display. So if I toggle on this vertical display, save and close, okay, so you will see a different layout altogether. It would be a navigation component obviously, but with a different layout. So here if you see, now those details have came on the left side, and here this things is on the right side. So if we go to the next, this is how it is coming. So in the same case, we can play around with a different layout. So we have, if you want to show it as tabs, then we can toggle on this, and let me show you this tabs. So this is a pretty cool. Yes, now this is coming as a tab. So personal information, fill in the details below. So these are tabs now in the tabs layout. Okay, and after that we have other things like display errors on top. Maybe let me toggle on this. Let me toggle on this display error on top. So what it shows is display the error messages on top instead of bottom. So this is something on a field, it decides the positioning of it. And let's put it here as validate on every navigation. So what will happen now, if you remember, here we have put this as a mandatory, right? But as of now, whenever we were navigating between pages, it was like something not considering this required field, right? Even though we have field or not field, it was not taking into consideration that, and it was allowing us to go to the next page. But as we have toggled on this button, which is validate on every navigation, it will check whether this is field. If field, then only we would be able to go to the next page. So let me show you, let me fill this. Okay, and let it be blank here. If I click on next page, okay, still it is not showing there. I think I am doing something wrong here. Okay, Okay, I think both are like doing that same thing. What is this? Let me check. Validate on every navigation. It says validates regardless of navigation direction. So yeah, ideally it should have thrown an error because we are going to the next screen, but it is not throwing an error. Let's see again. I have done one more change, which is I will tell you that. Okay, now we got this error, which is like whatever is pending, like which is not filled. We are getting error for it, but it should have came with this also, right? Validate on every navigation. Now I have turned on this setting, which is validate on your navigation, user navigation. That is why we are getting this errors. But yeah, let me check if something this is a bug in the platform, but I will check that and will update you on this. Maybe I will like create a new video if I get any update on it. So here is like save on user navigation. Yeah, so if we want to save our data, once we go to the next page, then this is something these options are, and this is like validate on opening submission. So what it means is, let's suppose we open this, we have saved this data, okay, and if we open this page again, then if we want to validate, if we want to hit that validate, then we need to toggle on this button, right? And here is like validate all module fields, okay, and here it is given as will not work with stagger load. So what it means, what is stagger load, right? So it means like now when we load the navigation component, so here we have this two components, right? But at one time we are seeing only one panel, right? We are not looking into the other one once as we are on the first page. But what is happening from the Unqork perspective or from the backend perspective is the operation to load the other panel as well that has already done, even though we haven't actually opened this page, right? So in our case there are only two panels, but let's suppose there are some 10-15 panels, so it is not a good practice to load all the data in advance because it will impact the performance, right? So in that case we can toggle on this button, which is where was that? Yeah, you told me right, it was at the bottom. So it is stagger load for performance. So in that case, whatever the page we are in, so that information or that panel is only loaded, but the other one is loaded once we navigate to the next page. Okay, that is what these details are. And other things are like display navigation jumps. So here you can see what is that means, whether to disable navigation jumps if user clicks bubble, which means in case of vertical layout, right, we had seen. Let me show you that quickly. Where was that? Okay, so it was as vertical tabs. Okay, it works with normal this way also. You don't need for a vertical thing. So what it means is once I click on this, okay, I'm getting this error because it is not filled, but let me fill it, and if I click on this I would be able to navigate to the next page, right? So that thing is something we are controlling here, disable navigation jumps. So if we toggle on this, then we won't be able to go to the next page by clicking on that top of that navigation icon. Okay, so just to show you that, let me just quickly save this, but before that I'm just disabling this vertical display because we want the same layout that we already have. Okay, let me refresh. Okay, so now if I click, it will not go because we have disabled that, right? So I hope you found this component very fascinating because it has lot of things we can play around with, that like hide, preview, next button. So These are pretty self-explanatory, but the basic is something which I have told you. So if you know this, then you are good to start with this component, and other things according to our use case we can play around with that, right? So yes, so that's it from the navigation component. I would request you guys to just subscribe to the channel, and please add your comments if any, and share with your colleagues or friends who are interested in learning Unqork. And do like this video if you have really liked it, because in that case this video will reach to the mass audience, which will make this channel grow, and I will get a motivation to uh, record good videos also, in case of, I mean, whatever the practical experience I can put it here in the videos, in that case, right? So yeah, that's it from the navigation component piece, and I will see you in the next video with next layout component. Thank you.